Okay, for whatever reason, I thought I had already made a deck tech video of this deck a while ago, and apparently I haven't, so I'm gonna make that video today. And the next Wyvern video that I make a deck tech for is gonna be the inverted version of this deck. This deck is called Cauldron. Also, it's referred to as hide and seek or just a face down deck. The Cauldron can once per turn, I believe it's only once per turn, on your turn, can turn one of your dragons in the row face down. So if you have two of these cauldrons, you can turn two dragons down. If you have one in each row, you can turn one in each row down. So each of these cauldrons, I believe, only works once per turn. It doesn't specifically say that. But the updated card added the word action. There are two action phases in Wyvern, just like the two main phases in Magic. One's before combat, one is after combat, and of course combat is optional. Boy, my throat's a little scratchy today. All right, so that's why they added the word action to clarify. They should have said you can only do this once per turn. Not sure why they didn't, unless I'm wrong, and you can do this as often as you want. I don't think it is as often as you want, though. It really wouldn't make sense. If you look at the card and you look at what it does, it must only work once per turn. If I'm wrong about that, somebody just let me know. But I'm fairly certain I'm right. The next Wyvern video I make will be doing the inversion of this, which is face up, and that will be this deck here that wants to turn the dragons face up. This deck wants to turn them down, but I will be turning them up throughout the game and then back down. But I want them to ultimately end up down, where my face up deck wants them up, but we will be going up and down as well. But the reason I say this really gets to the heart of the game, or the core of the game, is Wyvern is a little different of a card game in that it begins with dragons and terrains face down. You have 6 battle positions. This could be a dragon or a terrain you don't know, so you attack blind. But if I attack, now you know it's a dragon. So now it's you know. If it gets turned back down, you still know that's a dragon. So now you don't have to think I should attack with my scout, because scouts destroy terrains, and it could be a terrain. If it's a terrain, the scout destroys it. So the whole strategy of this game is knowing what your opponent's face down cards are, and how are you going to figure that out. Sometimes you just have to attack blind and hope you hit a terrain with a scout, and hope you hit a dragon with a bigger dragon of yours, or that you can at least beat it in battle. And this is really what the game, not all, but a lot of the strategy of the game was based around: the face-up and the face-down cards. Now, oddly enough, Mike Fitzgerald, the creator of Wyvern, did get some criticism for these face-down cards. People thought it was a clumsy mechanic, or I don't know specifically what they said. Oddly enough, though, Magic would go on. The game Magic, the most popular game ever, along with Pokemon, created a mechanic called Morph, where for 3 mana you could play a card face down, and it was a 2/2 generic creature in this state. Colorless generic creature. And at any time, you could pay its morph cost. I don't think or it's either you activate it as a sorcery or any time. I forget now. It's been a long time since I've played Magic. And you could turn it up. And now you get an effect, or you get whatever it is. It could be a bigger creature. It could be a 5/5 instead of a 2/2, just as an example. So Mike goes, I find it interesting that I was criticized for my face-up, face-down cards, and now popular games are literally implementing that concept into their games. I thought that was quite brilliant of him to point that out to everyone. It's like, you criticized me for it, but now you guys are doing the very thing that you criticized me for. See, Mike did this before anybody. Mike's game, Wyvern, is actually the opposite of Magic. Magic and almost all card games, you begin with no resources and you build up your resources. Wyvern starts with 20. You start with 25 gold. Imagine if you began the game of Magic with 10 mana. That would be insane. I don't even think it would work. It works with Wyvern. you run out of resources. The key is to not run out of resources, but you can easily run out. It approaches the game from the opposite perspective, or the opposite scope of how a game is played. And that's why I really like this this Cauldron deck, the face down deck, as well as my face up deck. I really like these two decks, and I hopefully you'll enjoy seeing how these work. So I'm going to go over the Dragon Lair first, but before I do, I want to point out that if you want to make this deck more competitive than what I've built here, the two cards that you need to add are Poison Chalice and Power Switch. Now, Power Switch got an update in words. Here it says, the two dragons who started this battle switch strength numbers till the end of the battle. Then they realized, no, it's the base strength. So they changed the wording. The two dragons who started this battle switch base strength numbers until the end of the battle. This is the Kingdom version. That was the last version that came out. This is the updated text. So the updated text applies. This also applies for Medea's spell. Medea's spell did not say base strength. Now it says base strength. These are three of the power cards in the game. You could certainly add Medea's spell to this deck as well. I recommend 3 or 4 copies of each of these, or maybe 2 of each of these, or possibly 3 of each of these. And you'll have to take out other cards from the deck. I would do this if my opponent is playing a highly competitive deck. I will change my deck to reflect that. The reason it's not like that is I don't want all my decks to be that competitive, and I don't have that many copies of those cards. Also, I don't have enough copies, but I have quite a few, and I have a very good Wyvern collection that they built up back in the day. I'm losing my train of thought here. Okay. I like to match my opponent. So if my opponent is playing Power Switch and Poison Chalice, then I will. If they're not playing it, I won't play these cards unless they want me to. But this deck is designed without them. I can always add them. I have cards pulled to the side whenever I want to take out certain types of cards that my opponent isn't playing, and I can just add in certain cards. I pick from a pile of cards, and I say, all right, I'll add these. And they're already sleeved. It makes it very easy to switch out your deck as needed to match the level of competitiveness that you are engaging in with your friend. All right, so this deck utilizes the whole face-up, face-down concept of the game with this type of card. This is a very rare card to find. It's on eBay right now. It goes for like $15 to $20 on eBay. So if you want it, it's on eBay right now. I'm pretty sure it's still there. Multiple copies of it are being sold. So this is Agitar, the awesome looking dragon. His base strength is 4, and he costs 1 gold. So he costs 5 gold to pay for. But when you attack from the face down position, so you turn him up, he's down, you turn him up and attack, he's attacking from face down, he's an 8. 8 is the biggest dragon in this game. There are 2 dragons with a base strength of 7 in this game. They are the biggest dragons because they are 7s. This guy's only a 4, but when he attacks, he's bigger than them. He's an 8. So he is a very cool dragon. However, he attacks at strength 0 when he's up. So the first attack, now he's up, now he's going to be a 0. He always defends at 4. So that's decent. That's fine. 4 strength dragon for 5 gold is typical because of his ability. All right, but these dragons, there are several of them that do this face up, face down thing, don't all have a gold symbol, and I find it interesting. I think they're right too, except in this case. This is Chimera. This is a 0 strength scout who attacks at 1 strength from face down. For some reason, they added the gold symbol here, and I don't know why. So I'm getting a 0 strength scout for 1 gold, but if I attack from face down, I'm getting a 1 strength scout for 1 gold. I don't think that gold symbol should be there. I think this should be free. I almost never use Chimera in any of my decks because he's just not good enough to be in there. Yet, I say that, Hegi, who had a championship deck in this first season, used this card in his deck, and I'm assuming the reason he did was the 1 strength made a difference for him. I still think it's wrong to add the gold, despite the fact that he put this in his deck. So maybe I'm wrong, but let me show you why. So here is Raha. There's also a 1 strength dragon called Mushu who does the exact same thing. I only have Raha in this deck. Strength 1, he attacks at strength 2 from face down and 0 from face up. So for 1 gold on the first attack, he's a 2. That's a really good rate. A 2 strength dragon for 1 gold, that's really good. But then he's a 0. But if I turn him down with Cauldron or some other way of turning him down, he will go back to a 1. Well, he's always a 1 on defense. But he'll go back to being able to attack at strength 2. No gold, though. So now I'm getting a 2 strength for 0. Here I'm getting a 1 strength for 1. I think this should be 0. Then we have the 2 strength dragon, Gandarua. And I believe there's only 1 2 strength dragon with this ability. Gandarua is a 2 strength dragon who only costs 2, but he attacks at 4. That's great. A 4 strength dragon for 2 gold is an amazing rate. This is why these dragons are very, very good, but then they're 0. So they're not very, very good. And they always defends it too. But if you can flip them down, that's the kind of deck you put them in. You really don't use this dragon for anything else because the 0 sucks, and the 2 defense is fine. It doesn't really matter. So now we're going to add the gold piece. Here's Naga, a 3 strength dragon for 4. So Gandarua is a 2 for 2. Naga is a 3 for 4. Why the gold symbol? He attacks at strength 6 from face up. From face down. 0 from face up. All right. So Agitar, you're getting 8 strength for 5 gold. Naga, you're getting 6 strength for 4 gold. Gandarua, you're getting 4 strength for 2 gold. The reason they added the gold symbol on these last 2 is because the differential is getting a little ridiculous. 8 for 4, 6 for 3. They decided, you know what, let's make it 8 for 5, 6 for 4. I totally agree with that. So why did you put a gold symbol on this guy? Because he's a scout? I don't see the point. I don't know. It's just me. That's just me. I'm just pointing that out. To the point where if my friend and I wanted to play a game where we both used this, I would say, let's just say Chimera is free. And I think my friend would probably agree, and he'd just be a free dragon for us. But there are more. Those are the main ones that do this face up, face down. They're 0 when they're face up, when they're attacking. But now this very cool dragon named Giant, I love that there is a dragon of mythology named Giant. There's also a dragon of mythology named Vampire, which will be in another deck that I have coming up soon that I'll be making a deck tech video for. All right, so Giant is a 5 strength dragon, so he's big, but he only costs 4 gold. That's a really good rate. However, in your draw phase, each of your draw phases, he loses a strength. He goes down to 4, then to 3. He'll just keep getting weak. All you have to do is turn him down, and he goes right back to 5. He's a 5 on defense too. So this dragon is really good in this deck. Very powerful. Too bad he doesn't fly, but you can't have everything. But now Wyvern said, let's do something different. This is Kakutan. Kakutan is a 3 strength dragon for 3. That's good. That's a fine rate. He defends at strength 4 from face down, and he attacks at strength 2 from face down. So from face down, he's better on defense, worse on offense. Turn him up, now he's a 3. He attacks at 3, he defends at 3. So you want him down when he's defending. You want him up when you're attacking. So that's a little bit tricky. But I really like this card. And again, we have a dragon that's a horse. And this is apparently true. I have to look up the mythology of Kakutan. I have the Insider's Guide for Wyvern that goes through all of the mythology of all the dragons. I don't have it with me right now, though. My friend is reading it. All right. But now we're going to do something yet different again, another inversion of this mechanic. Scylla, I think it's pronounced Scylla, is a 4 strength dragon for 4. defends at strength 5, so exactly the same as Kakutan, but now from face down, and attacks at 3 strength from face up. Why did this one say face up? Kakutan is always face down for the altered strengths. Scylla is defends at 5 from down, face down, attacks at 3 from face up. So that means he defends at 4 from face up and attacks at 4 from face down. Pretty sure I got that right. This will drive you crazy if you play this deck, because you will start forgetting which one is their actual strength, because it will confuse your brain. It's really bizarre. You have to really look at it carefully and make sure you're not getting it messed up. It's very easy to get this messed up. All right. Now, I'm just going to leave. No, I'll put that back here. All right. So that's Kakutan and Scylla. They throw a little bit of a wrench in it. Those are all the dragons that work that way. But now we have Echidna, who also has an odd thing about it. This clearly is a Naga. It doesn't say it's a Naga. There is a Naga deck for Wyvern. There are enough dragons, not a lot, but there are several dragons that are called Naga. And, well, you just saw one. That's literally Naga, and he's a Naga. And so is Echidna. Echidna, I would just say it's a Naga. If she wins a battle, you can turn any face-up dragon face down, including herself. So if you don't have the cauldron, or if you want to if you have 2 dragons face up and you can only turn down 1, if you can win a battle, you can turn down another one. So Echidna is good. It is a 3-strength dragon for 4, but that's a typical cost for the dragon that has an ability. If it didn't have an ability, the gold symbol wouldn't be there. Then we have White-Eared Dragon, which is the same as Echidna, except it's a 4-strength dragon. And this is from the Phoenix set. This was added. Same exact ability. So these 2 dragons help you to turn your dragons back down. Now the problem is your opponent already knows which are if they have to remember, of course. But okay, that's a dragon. That might be a terrain. I don't know, but they know which ones are dragons because they've seen them up and you turned them down. Now they know what they are. So that's a little bit of an unfortunate thing, but not a big deal. It's not that big of a deal, but we have cards that will fix that, which we'll get to in the treasure hoard. So I have a total of 3 scouts in this deck. We have Chimera, we had a Delphine, who's a flying scout who can get me a card, which is why I put Delphine in here. And we have Keolung, who, if they lose a battle, I get a card. You could put any 2 scouts in this deck and it would be fine. I chose these 2 because they have the potential to draw me a card. Card draw is more significant for this deck, which I'll show you why. This card can go in practically any deck you want. Lindworm is wonderful. It's a 0-strength dragon. It costs 1 gold. That's horrible. You're paying 1 gold for nothing, but he can lose a battle without dying. This buys you a little time. You don't have to worry whether they attack or not, or whether he gets attacked, whether he dies, because he won't die the first time, and then you can swap him out after that. So your opponent basically wasted their turn. It's really good. This card is kind of silly. Lambton Worm, you pay 1 gold to bring it back from your Dragon Lair discard pile to a vacant position in your battlefield. So the moment you've lost one or more battle positions, if this guy's in your discard pile, you can just bring him back by paying 1 gold. He's a 1-strength dragon. He only costs 1. He's weak and doesn't really do anything. But if you bring him back, then you can swap him out again. You can only bring him back 1 time like this, but you're gaining a battle position, which prolongs the game. I will not play Lambton Worm unless my opponent is playing Lambton Worm, or they don't care whether I play it or not. Because these stall tactics can drag the game out. We've actually started trying to play the game without any stall tactics. So we've removed Knight, Golden Apple, and Fountain of Youth. We played a couple nights ago. And the game played really well without any of these stall tactics. We actually enjoyed it more. So I will only play them now if my opponent wants to play them or if they don't care. Or it doesn't matter. If it doesn't matter, then I'll just leave the cards alone. But now I just pull them out and replace them with other cards when we don't want to use stall tactics. It just makes for a quicker game. I made a video about that. You might want to look at it. I think it's called How to Play Wyvern Differently or something like that. I also have 5 terrains in this deck. 2 of them are this terrain. Stream. I think this is one of the best, if not the best, terrain in the game. Dragon's owner must pay 1 gold piece to the gold mine each of his draw phases that the stream is on the dragon. And you get a gold. If your opponent hits this card, you get a gold, and they are now going to lose a gold every turn unless they swap out that dragon. So if they can afford it, if they don't mind paying the gold, they can keep their dragon around and keep it attacking you. But otherwise, they're just going to get rid of it because they don't want to be losing a gold every turn. So 2 copies of Stream, could go up to 3. And then these 4 cards are here for the gold generation. These came out in the Chameleon set, which was a very popular set, and it is now a very expensive set. It's ridiculous how much you have to pay for a booster pack, let alone a booster box. Don't do it unless you're collecting and you need certain cards. Don't pay the amount. It's absurd. It's like $25 for a booster pack. It's just absurd. But anyway, Mixquaddle, 6 gold coins. Okay, so when attacking, Mixquaddle uses an assigned strength equal to the number of gold pieces in your gold pile at the moment he attacks. His base is 0. He's a 0 flying dragon. So on defense, he's very weak, very easy to kill. On offense, he's ridiculous. He's beyond absurd. You start the game with 25 gold. If you attack with this guy on turn 1, he's a 19 strength. And Power Switch will not reduce that to 0 because his base is 0. So Power Switch won't affect this. Medea's spell won't affect this. Medea's spell changes the base strength to 0. It already is 0. So this card is bonkers, and but it's really here for the gold generation, which I'm going to show you in a second, which you've seen. If you've watched my other videos, you already know what it does. So Field of Gold, I could run 4 copies of Field of Gold, but I have 4 copies of Gold Dig that I use for my gold generation. So 4 cards that generate gold, 4 Gold Digs. I could run 4. Why not? If my opponent hits this, I'm going to get 4 gold. If he hits it with a dragon. If he hits it with a scout, he destroys it. But if he hits it with a dragon, I get 4 gold, but he gets a +1 strength. So it benefits him. And that is the only risk that you're doing, is you're taking the risk that strengthening him, I'd rather have 4 gold. I'm willing to make that exchange. But all you need to do with these cards, and the main thing you do with these cards, is you swap one of them out on your turn, and then you play Gold Dig, which I'm about to show you. So this is the best gold generation in the game. I'm shocked the game didn't get more popular at the time. Maybe it did, maybe it spiked for a little bit. I really don't know. I know in Australia this game remained very popular because when I was buying stuff on eBay, someone said, oh, they're still playing a lot. They still hold tournaments in Australia. And I was like, oh, wow, that's cool to hear. Wish I was in Australia because I was really missing the game and wanted to keep playing. I had just started getting into the constructed aspect of the game. And we practiced all year, and we go back to Gen Con, and there's a 4-player tournament. It was like, oh, come on. So what are you going to do? But these are great cards. If you can get your hands on them, do it. If you want to play. If you don't, don't let your opponent play these if you don't have them. It's not fair. It's just not fair. So balance it out. All right. One last card in the Dragon Lair that I keep off to the side is Basilisk. I bring him in. These are all off to the side. They are not in all of my decks, but I have a set of them, 2 sets of them pulled off to the side so that if my opponent and myself want to play them, we add them to the deck. Basilisk, these are actually in the deck because I've got quite a few copies of these because they're not rare. This is rare. I have maybe 5 Basilisks in my collection. So Basilisk is just a 3-strength dragon for 3. He kills himself and any other dragon in battle. No action cards are played in a battle with Basilisk. Now, the other thing about Basilisk, which I'm going to show you right now, is that he got some updated text too. Here is the Kingdom version. Put it over here so I can read it, of Basilisk. And now it says, kills himself and 1 other dragon in battle. I guess they wanted to make make that clear that he can only kill one other. I don't know why they changed any to one, but I guess it mattered. No battle action cards are played in a battle that Basilisk is part of, and there is no winner or loser. In other words, you can't save him with him or your opponent that you just killed their dragon. Neither dragon can be saved with Golden Apple or Fountain of Youth, and you can't play Knight because you can't play battle action cards. Basically, Basilisk just kills himself and the dragon he is in battle with, whether they attack me or I attack them. The one way around Basilisk, which will wreck Basilisk, is an interceptor. If you intercept the attack, so I attack your card, you intercept it with your interceptor, the interceptor and Basilisk kill each other. My attack never hits the intended target, and I lose Basilisk, and you lose your interceptor, which you don't care. You're happy to do that. That's great. I do not want you hitting my Basilisk with your interceptor because you just wrecked me. So that's the way around Basilisk. So if you start playing this game and you have interceptors, bring them in from like a sideboard if you want. I've never sideboarded with Wyvern. I've never played with sideboard, but I have with Magic. And sideboarding is fun. It's a great strategy. So this is one of the most powerful cards in the game. It goes on eBay for like $15, $25. Again, it's very, very hard to get a hold of this card. All right. Now, where did I put my other cards? Okay, they're literally right in front of my face. These are the other cards that I put 2 sets off to the side. 4 magnetic fields and 4 gold digs. Magnetic Field is, in my opinion, the most powerful card in the game, along with Poison Chalice and Power Switch. But I would take Magnetic Field over them slightly. Let me just bring it here. Cancels the play of any action card. The action card is discarded with no effect, and Magnetic Field is also discarded. This can be played anytime, even during a battle. Basically, it counters any purple card. These are all purple cards. If you can't see it, the border is purple. It counters any of them. Dragon Slayers, intercept actions, reactions, battle actions, doesn't matter. It counters the card. You have to pay 2 gold. It used to be 1, but it was such a powerful card that they upped it to 2. And again, the Kingdom has all of the updated. This is not Kingdom, but this is Limited. So Limited did update some of the cards. Like I said, the premier Magnetic Field is 1 gold. All right, and then Gold Dig says you gain X gold pieces. X equals the number of gold symbols on the top card in your Dragon Lair discard pile. So you swap out the Field of Gold or Mixed Quaddle, and you gain 4 or 6 gold. If you have 2 of these in your hand, then you get double that. If you have 3 of them in your hand, well, you see where this is going. I actually had 3 in my starting hand one time, and I swapped this guy out and got 18 gold. my opponent almost quit. It was because it's like, I'm never going to run out of gold now. Well, you actually still can, but it's a lot harder to run out of gold at that point. All right, the Treasure Hoard. Now, this is really a fun deck to play, and this is why I like this deck. You'll see what I mean. So 4 copies of Cauldron. We want 1. We'd like to get 2 in play. 3 is, we'll always play 3 or 4 because the more you have, the more fun you can have. 2 Fountains of Youth, which I pull out if we're not using stall tactics. But Fountain of Youth is a great card. And since it's temporary, it's these 4 cards plus 2 Fountains of Youth. That's fine. Actually, it's 4 Cauldrons and 1 Magic Potion. I want Magic Potion in my deck. I'm hoping to get it in play because now my big, powerful dragons on attack, the 8 Strength Dragon for 5, the 6 Strength Dragon for 4, now they can help each other. And that's just very, very powerful. Risky because they can both die in a battle, but one Magic Potion is worth it in my opinion. Because I'm going to be playing a lot of action cards and I could very quickly go through my deck, I'm running 4 Meteor Showers. I often run 4 Meteor Showers anyway because it's the best card draw engine in the game. And it's also a common card, so you will not have any problem getting Meteor Showers. They'll probably be in your starter deck. 1 or 2 will probably be in a starter deck. This was deemed too powerful of a card, and so it was reduced to just 1 copy in a deck. If you want to play where you can play 4 copies, have at it. You will run out of gold quickly because these 2 gold cost cards drain your gold fast. You don't think so at first, but next thing you know, you'll be down to like 4 gold, and you'll be wondering what happened to your gold. So one copy of Volcanic Eruption gets back any card in your discard pile. It's a very powerful card. All right, I often run 2 to 4 Dragon Slayers in most of my decks. Sometimes I run less, sometimes I run 0, sometimes I run more. My Dragon Slayer deck has like 15 to 20 Dragon Slayers, so it's a lot of, that's a fun deck too. But Jason is the best. He can slay any dragon, but he's also the most expensive. My favorite Dragon Slayer is Sir Galahad. For two gold, I can slay any big dragon. That's all the power I care about. There are 3 strength dragons and 2 strength dragons, though, that he can't get, that Jason will get, and sometimes you're going to want Jason. So one of each seems for me, for this deck, to be the right amount. Gives me that ability to take out any problem dragon, at least a shot at it. They could counter it. There's common counters called, well, I think there isn't one in here, called Marina. Marina counters a Dragon Slayer. Common is dirt. All right. Golden Apples, again, the stall tactic cards. The dragon that you play this on survives even if they lose, so they don't die. Great card. I often run 4 of these in decks if I just don't want to lose the deck, lose my dragons. It is a great strategy, but I don't use it in every deck. It just depends. Dragons that have abilities like if they lose the battle, they get the ability. That is a good use of Golden Apple. So every time this guy loses a battle, I draw a card. If I save him with Golden Apple, I can do it again. So Golden Apple is a very powerful common card, so much so that I often wonder if they should raise it to 2, if they should have raised it to 2 gold. I've often wondered if Knight should be 1 gold. Cancels current battle, dragons go back to their positions face up. This is how you get out of battles. As long as they don't counter this, your dragons aren't going to die. So it's just another safety valve, but again, it's a stall tactic, so those can be annoying. I'm running 6 strength modifiers in this deck. I could run more, I could run less. If I'm running Power Switch and Poison Chalice, I might take out a couple of these. I might not need them as much. This one is the most efficient, though. Magical Sword, let alone being just a beautiful looking card. +2 for 1 gold is a great rate. Heggie had the 3 copies of this in his championship deck. You can look up his deck online if you'd like to do it. If I think of it, I'll put a link to it in the description so you can look at his deck. And that was from season 1, so he doesn't have any of the Chameleon cards or the Phoenix cards. It was all the original cards. And he ran 3 magical swords, which showed me that this really is the best of the strength modifiers because it's efficient. +2 for 1 gold is efficient. Now I'm running 2 copies of Firebolt, which isn't as efficient. You get +3, but it costs 2. +3 for 2 is not as good of a rate as +2 for 1. It should be 4 for 2, but that's okay. 3 for 2 is fine. It does drain your gold. It is a little expensive for what it does, but in the basic game, it's very powerful. In the basic game, these are really good cards. In the constructed, not as much. Not as much. These are also cards that I could take out for Poison Chalice and Power Switch. Steel Strength is great if your opponent is playing those strength modifiers that I just showed you that I'm playing. Armor cancels or counters the strength modifier. It's a free card, but for 1 gold, I can steal the strength and add that strength to my dragon. That is a very powerful swingy effect, but it's no good if your opponent isn't playing strength modifiers. Then we have Puck. I do not have Puck in most of my decks. This deck, I want to protect my cauldrons. I do not want my opponent destroying my cauldrons. Very important. Actually, I have a lot of decks that I don't want to lose my treasures, but sometimes it happens. So I'm just running 1 copy in this deck. Counters any attempt to destroy or remove a treasure from your battlefield. When used against a pick a treasure attempt, the pick a treasure is discarded. Pick a treasure is a treasure that you play and then you steal your opponent's treasure. Puck counters that. So 1 copy, I would probably normally, if I use sideboards, Puck would be a sideboard card. That's really where it belongs. All right, but now we're going to get into the fun manipulative aspect of this deck, which I really enjoy doing. First, we have Avalanche, which by itself is not a good card. All face-up dragons are turned face down, including your opponents. That, face down, you can't slay them with Dragon Slayers if they're face down. So that's the one advantage of turning something face down. But why would I want to turn all of them face down? Well, because Rainbow allows me to turn any of them face up. Turn as many of your dragons as you wish face up, paying for them if necessary. You have to pay for them the first time they are turned up, and then you don't have to pay for them anymore. But you gain 1 gold piece from the gold mine for each dragon turned face up with this action. And this is from Chameleon. This is one of the later cards. So every time I turn up a dragon, so let's just say I turned all of them up. Well, that's going to cost me a lot of money, but it costs me 1 less gold for each of them. And let's just say I could afford it. Now I turn them all back down with Avalanche, and if I have another copy of Rainbow, I play it again. I'm running 3 copies because 4 copies tended to clog up my deck at times. I think I might want to change and run 4 Rainbow. Only 3 Avalanche. I don't want too many of these in my hand. I might even go down to 2 Avalanche. 3 or 4 Rainbow. This is how you generate gold very quickly. If you get lucky and you have 6 dragons in your battlefield and no terrains, that's 6 gold. That's just absurd. So 3 copies right now. And again, 3 or 4 of Tsunami. Right now, I'm just running 3 of all of these. Tsunami does the same thing that Rainbow does, but you draw a card. So now I'm drawing cards and getting gold and then turning them all back down with either my Avalanche or my Cauldron. This is the fun part of this game. It drove my opponent crazy, though. He did not like it because he had never seen a deck like this before. But Tsunami is a very good card, but you have to pay for the dragon, and you are revealing to your opponent that that's a dragon, so they know that now. Okay, we're getting to that. Stolen equipment, I'm just running 1 because I don't really know if my opponent's going to have any face-up dragons. This says each player selects and discards 1 card from their hand for each face-up dragon in their battlefield. I could run 2 copies. I wouldn't run more than 2. And again, this is a Chameleon card, as you can see. If my opponent has 3 face-up dragons, this is a great card. If it has 2, that's still good. 1 is not a big deal. If they only have 1 face-up dragon, and if they have none, this is a dead card in my hand. It won't do a thing for me. So it's situational. But I am running 1 because I do like the idea that I can make my opponent discard cards while I'm drawing cards. And I could run 2. It's tricky. It depends on the kind of deck they're playing. Windfall is really good. Now this card, some of these cards are also in my face-up deck, which I'll be doing in the next Wyvern video. And Windfall is one of them. Each player gains 1 gold piece from the gold mine for each face-up dragon in their battlefield when Windfall is played. Well, obviously when Windfall is played. I don't know why they added those words at the end. That seems odd to me. But again, more gold generation. And you can turn up anything you want with Rainbow and Tsunami, and then you can just gain gold for all of the ones you just turned up. You can just gain more gold. It's wild. Right now, there's only 2 in here. I'm going to probably up this to 3, and I might take this down to 2. This is the card so that your opponent will no longer know where your which face down card is which is that they won't know anymore if it's a dragon or not, because for 1 gold you can rearrange all the cards in your battlefield. You can't turn them face up or face down, and attached cards have to remain attached. You can't change that. You just change what position they're going to be in, and that way they won't know anymore. There is a free version of this card if you don't that you can get from the regular set called Twister. You'll get it if you buy starter decks. There'll probably be one in there. Eventually you'll get one, because I think it's common, and both players can rearrange their battlefields. That's not as good, but it doesn't really matter that your opponent can rearrange their battlefield. That's not very concerning, but if you don't want them to be able to do it, you play Shifting Sands. And again, I had 4, and they clogged up my hand, and I said, nope, we're going to 3. I might go to 2. We'll see. We'll see how that works. So that is my Cauldron deck, also known as the hide and seek deck or the face up deck. Face down deck. It's a really, really fun deck to play. And like I said, this goes to the heart of what the Wyvern card game is really all about. So I highly recommend you try playing with a Cauldron deck. Make yourself a Cauldron deck. It's a lot of fun to play. Cauldron says, you can't slay my dragon now. He's face down. No one can slay him. That's their really good thing about Cauldron. In the basic game, Cauldron is a even better card. It's not great in Constructed, except for this deck. Otherwise, you really don't need it, because it doesn't do a whole lot. So, I hope you enjoyed this. The next one will be my face-up deck, and you'll see why I want dragons face-up as opposed to face-down. But there are some similarities to the deck. Hope you'd enjoyed this video. I will try to remember to put a link in for Heggie's championship deck so you can see how he built his. But that's not this deck. It's an attacking deck, and it was very cool. So I might not remember to do it. We'll I'm losing my train of thought here. I'll talk to you all later. Bye bye.